Clearly, a lot of us have had to think how certain Orokins or certain individuals such as Teshin or Alatvi survived the Tenno Uprising. Were they good people to the Tennos to begin with, or did the Tenno just miss some marks? True, the story written by the lone witness said that the uprising occurred at the post-war ceremony to congratulate the Tennos who were instrumental in winning the Old War. And while the Tennos were the force to be reckoned with at that time and even now, they also weren't hunters. They were more defensive than ever. This one big part of the story is something that was never emphasized, and we're going to be breaking it down and talking a little bit more about it in this video. In the doctrines and the behavior of the Tenno, they didn't run after or chase the Orokin that escaped. This is something that was evident in this introduction trailer. While the goal of the Tenno was to rebel and kill their masters, it was mostly a defensive battle, a fight just to escape and become free. And as a lot of us have also seen, even with other factions, everyone had become a slave to the Orokin in one way or the other. So freedom is the number one thing on everyone's mind. The entry at Samaris talked about the rebellion at the ceremony. But we can also believe that some Orokin fought back either by themselves or by the use of their noble warriors known as the Dax. If we go way back before the final ceremony, the Inaros entry revealed to us that both the Tenno and or the Warframes are capable and have been rebellious way before the Old War began. This is something that we can see with how many Warframes and Tennos tried to stop the Orokin continuity, and this is something that you will see in the Codex entry. The kidnapping and the use of children was something that a lot of people were not happy about. So even if the sentient Lotus was never a part of the equation, sooner or later, many Tenno will become enemies of the Empire. The Inaros incident revealed to us how the Warframe Inaros killed several Orokin and Dax soldiers just to return that little boy back to his home on Mars. That little boy is one that we all now believe was Baro Ki'Teer. In the entry, Inaros displayed some Umbra-like personalities and features, but even if it wasn't sentient, we can also believe that the Tenno controlling the frame at that time was rebellious and did not like the continuity and did not like the fact that the Orokin were using children as part of their immortality. And we would even go as far as to say that a lot of those Warframes, which were instrumental in helping a lot of those people in these colonies, became God among them. This is not the first time that a group of people have seen and worshipped a Warframe or the pilot behind it either. The same can be said for Nidus in his lore, a Myconian relic of the Old War. Revenant is also considered somewhat of a hero to the people of Sidus. The Hulstrons worshipped him. Garuda, Korra, they also mean something much significant to the people in other colonies, including the prisoners of Orb Valleys on Venus. There are lore entries scattered across the place depicting the heroic actions before and after the Old War. So what does this show us? Well, this shows us that while the Tennos were described as hunters in that final act in the theater, in the ceremonial hall, most of their actions were defensive and mostly about protecting others or at least achieving freedom. If the Orokin at one point had told the Tennos that they were free to go, the job of the Lotus would have been pointless to free the group of children or try to coerce them. One thing that I believe that a lot of us also missed in this lore entry is going to be about the main target for the Tenno. The 107 are the power and the seat that runs and controls the Orokin Empire. As we have learned in the Sacrifice and even in the Apostasy prologue, the 107 decides who live and who must be executed by the Jade Light. Though Ballas was indeed an executioner at that point in time, the final act of the Tenno Uprising was focused at those 7 on the high ground or on the high table. You sever the head and the body must fall. Though of course you have certain generals who still hold dear to the Orokin or saw it as their own place and their own position to rise to power if the 7 should fall. While the Honored Seven fell, some Orokin generals still pushed for a hunt for the Tenno, and it became evident in that final scene of the introduction trailer. They wouldn't have killed many more if the Tenno were just left alone and were never hunted. However, the Orokin generals across the system also issued an all-points bulletin on the Tenno outside the moon, so we can say that the ones who survived are the ones who didn't follow order or retreated. Due to this combination of facts that supports this theory, we can also assume that there are hundreds or even thousands of Orokin out there just laying low, incognito, hiding somewhere. We can also assume that the Grineer Queen was just a general before the fall of the Empire. She just claimed the title of Queen and sat upon her own throne after the fall. The Orokin are not one to allow monarchy within their empire unless you are the ones ruling it. This is why I believe the Queen was never a queen way before the empire fell. Anyways, feel free to share your own thoughts about this down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you in the next one.